A warm welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Luima, but first are the headlines. Court of Appeal to handle 59 murders in just 3 weeks. Mistrust towards COVID jabs in remote Kenya among the Maasai. And in sports, Mali got top of Group E after edging Rwanda. A warm welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The Court of Appeal has started handling a new civil appeals session where a total of 59 matters will be disposed of. The cases include 42 civil appeals, 12 civil applications, 3 election petitions, and 2 election petition applications that arise from the 2011 and 2016 general elections and subsequent by-elections. We have more.
According to the Court of Appeal Registrar Susan Kanyange, the 3-week-long session will be presided over by Justices Christopher Madrama, Irene Mulyagonja, and Monica Mugenyi. Among the prominent cases to be heard is one where the Attorney General is appealing the decision of the High Court declaring that General David Sejjusa was no longer a serving officer of the Uganda People's Defence Forces. In 2016, the High Court observed that General Sejjusa was entitled to constructive discharge from the army since he wasn't receiving a salary and other benefits. Government challenged the decision and seeks to have it overturned by the Court of Appeal. On the side of the election petitions, the appeal by former Lubaga South MP Paul Kato Lubwama over his academic papers will be handled. In his election petition, the voter Habib Buwembo contends that Kato Lubwama lacked the Primary Leaving Examination Certificate, Uganda Certificate of Education, and the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education, or its equivalent, to qualify as Member of Parliament. The court's registrar said much as these are public interest cases, the court will follow guidelines issued by the Chief Justice in conducting court business amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Nahawe Kajura, Najuma Luima, Africa Today.
In a process to reopen schools, the government still grapples with the fight to vaccinate at least 50% of school employees across the country before the suggested reopening date, where in a period of the 3 days, 11,629 school employees had been vaccinated with the COVAX vaccine across Kampala. Kachanchu reports.
Addressing the media today at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala, the Kampala Capital City Authority spokesperson Mr. Daniel Nwabine said that they are expecting to receive 100,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine in a short time, which will be administered with effect from 6 September 2021 to 10th September 2021 using the original 32 vaccination sites. Mr. Nwabine also added that they have put in place a team to consider the feasibility of establishing vaccination sites in places like markets and taxi parks with the observation of the standard operating procedures as the main concern in order to avoid the spread of COVID-19. He also informed the public that a team of experts is working hard to ensure a peaceful vaccination exercise. Mr. Nwabine said they continue to monitor workspaces like arcades and issued a warning to all private offices within the city on failure to observe the standard operating procedures and obtaining more than 20% of their employees, which is a breach of the presidential directives on COVID-19. TV Africa News, Kachanchu Mtabazi reporting.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to spread across the world, in remote villages in many parts of Africa, vaccine hesitancy still remains. Joseph Leshinga, a Maasai tribes person living in a remote part of Kenya, doesn't trust outsiders coming to his village trying to administer vaccines on him or his people. We have more on this report.
Medical practitioners in Kenya are required to formally ask those getting vaccinated who their next of kin is, a simple question which has been enough to put Leshinga off taking the vaccine. Leshinga urged that to him, that means that this vaccine cannot give you a long life, and they know it, and that's why they are asking them for their next of kin, because this vaccine is going to reduce your years of life. Leshinga commands the respect of many of his tribe's people who have also refused to take a COVID-19 vaccine despite it being offered free of charge by Kenya's Ministry of Health from supplies donated by the UK government. In Africa, less than 2% of the population on the continent of 1.3 billion people is fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Vaccine shortages continue to plague many African countries, and hospitals in Kenya are seeing more deaths due to COVID-19, but vaccine hesitancy remains a major challenge facing many African countries. Stephen Letpey, a clinical officer at one of the remote health centers that caters to members of the Maasai community, says hesitancy comes from Kenya's colonial past, which may be an indirect way of colonizing us again by maybe controlling birth of Kenyans. If Africa continues to proceed at such a slow pace with its vaccination program, it could have the effect of prolonging the pandemic internationally, especially in remote areas in Kenya's Maasai land, where foreign tourists and Maasai interact.
Let's go for a very quick short break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The World Health Organization has announced that there is no evidence of the presence of the Ebola virus in Côte d'Ivoire after new analysis by the Pasteur Institute in Lyon, France.
According to a statement released by the World Health Organization, with the new results obtained by the laboratory in Lyon, the organization believes that the patient did not have Ebola virus disease, and further analysis on the cause of her illness is underway. The World Health Organization added that since Côte d'Ivoire announced the detention of the case on August 14th of an 18-year-old Guinean woman who arrived in Abidjan by road from her country after a 1,500-kilometer journey, more than 140 contacts have been listed in both countries, and no other people have shown symptoms of the disease, nor have they tested positive for Ebola. As a result, the organization is now downgrading its interventions in Côte d'Ivoire from response to alert status. The Ivorian Minister of Health, Pierre Dimba, said on Tuesday evening in a statement that the tests were conducted by the Biometrics Laboratory in Lyon, which is allied to the Pasteur Institute since 2010 for research. The results came back negative. The government decided to classify the Guinean patient as a non-case of Ebola virus disease, thus removing Côte d'Ivoire from the list of Ebola virus countries.
About half the world's population lives without any social protection, even though the pandemic has forced countries to better protect their people, the International Labour Organization said on Wednesday.
This first report since 2017 by the International Labour Organization on the state of social protection in the world shows that 4.1 billion people remain completely without such protections. Social protection includes access to health care as well as financial support during retirement in cases of unemployment, illness, disability, work-related injury, maternity, and many more. In 2020, only 46.9% of the world's population had at least one social protection benefit, while 53.1% had no income guarantee from their national social protection system. The global percentages mask significant disparities between and within regions, while coverage is above the global average in Europe and Central Asia at 83.9% and the Americans at 64.3%. It is below in Asia and the Pacific at 44.1%, the Arab states at 40% and Africa at 17.4%. Public spending on social protection also varies considerably. On average, countries spend 12.8% of their gross domestic product on social protection, while high-income countries spend 16.4% of their gross domestic product on social protection, and low-income countries only spend 1.1%.
Moving on, the World Meteorological Organization said on Wednesday that the number of people displaced by disaster is almost getting larger than the number of people displaced by the conflict, as 31 million people were displaced by disasters last year.
Assistant Secretary General and Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction, Mami Muzutori, said that we are living in a multi-hazard world as the number of people in hunger is increasing alongside COVID and extreme weather events attacking us at the same time. According to the United Nations Weather Agency report, weather disasters are striking the world 4 to 5 times more often and causing 7 times more damage than in the 1970s. The comments were made during a news conference to launch the new report from the United Nations Weather Agency, the Atlas of Mortality and Economic Losses from Weather, Climate and Water-Related Hazards. Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, Petteri Talas, said that there are 2 areas globally which have been exposed to more dramatic climate change than other parts of the world, the Middle East and Antarctica. Talas also wanted that the growth of population of Africa and the climate change effects will also impact the region negatively.
Let's once again take a very quick short break. We will be right back. In our business news today, Tunisian farmers are turning to the past to ensure a future by planting indigenous seeds as the North African country suffers at a time of drought, disease, and climate change. Farmers have now witnessed that the new varieties that are genetically engineered cannot be replanted and cause diseases like cancer.
According to Maha Meddin from Tunisia's National Gene Bank, which promotes the development of sustainable agriculture in the country, said that traditional seeds come from a genetic heritage best suited to the environment. Medini added that the seeds are more resistant to the ever-growing dangerous impacts of global warming and are reservoirs of genes hundreds, if not thousands, of years old. He said that climate change is causing challenging variations in rainfall, temperature, and humidity, creating disease in the crops. Wheat varieties developed in the 1980s are being blighted by disease in Tunisia, but farmers say that traditional varieties appear to be more resistant. In the past, using indigenous seeds, Tunisian farmers set aside a small part of the harvest to sow in the next season. But the development of hybrid or the deadly genetically modified seeds resulted in better harvests, and native varieties largely fell out of use. One problem is that seeds from the new varieties cannot be replanted, and farmers have to buy in more seed every year.
In our health news today, Egypt said on Wednesday that it plans to manufacture 1 billion doses a year of China's Sinovac vaccine, claiming it would become the Middle East and Africa's biggest vaccine producer. Some 7.5 million Egyptians have had at least one vaccine.
While at a press conference yesterday, Health Minister Hala Zaid said that under the deal with the Chinese pharmaceutical company, a factory in Cairo will produce more than 200 million doses per year to cover national needs. Zaid added that a second factory will produce 3 million doses per day, or around 1 billion a year, with a view to exporting the vaccine for COVID-19 and responding to demand in Africa. An official statement said that the move would make Egypt the biggest vaccine producer in the Middle East and Africa. Hiba Wali, the doctor in charge of project, said that the Egyptian Drug Authority had given its go-ahead and that 1 million doses have already been distributed in Egypt. Chinese experts had previously traveled to Egypt to inspect equipment and materials for producing the Sinovac vaccine at factories belonging to State Farm Vasera. Egypt, with a population of over 100 million, has officially recorded more than 288,000 COVID-19 cases, including over 16,700 deaths.
In our sports news today, Mali is top of Group E in the ongoing first phase of the FIFA World Cup 2022 qualifiers. This followed a slim 1-0 win over Rwanda Amavumbi Stars at Stade d'Agadir in Morocco on Wednesday, September 1st. Kachanchu reports.
Adam Traore scored the all-important goal in the 19th minute at the game. This happened after miscommunication between defender Brian Ngwabidje and goalkeeper Emery Mvuyekure. Mali missed the opportunity to double the scores after Yannick Mukunzi brought down Moussa Djenepo in the penalty area, but Mvuyekure saved the resultant spot kick. Amavubi played much better in the second half, but failed to find the net after Mashami replaced Brian Ngwabidje with striker Lague Biringiro. After an opener with Kenya, Uganda Cranes will host Mali on Monday 6th September 2021 at the St. Mary's Stadium, Kitende. Only one team from each group will qualify for the third round fixtures, as 40 national teams vying for 10 available places. Meanwhile, Senegal's Teranga Lions secured a 2-0 victory after the Togo Hawks on Wednesday at the Lador Stadium in Thiès City. Sadio Mane and Abdou Diallo scored in the Group H duel. Elsewhere, the Jutas of Guinea-Bissau and the Saheli National of Guinea shared the spoils, 1-1 in Group 1 in Mauritania, since the 24 September Estadio Nacional was not approved.
Now, before we end our news bulletin today, let's take a recap of our top stories. Court of Appeal to handle 59 murders in just 3 weeks. Mistrust towards COVID jabs in remote Kenya among the Maasai. And in sports, Mali got top of Group E after aging Rwanda. That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned for more programming.